This film is more than an adventure, more than a coming-of-age tale. There's a depth to each character, a complexity to each of their own personal stories. You can't help but relate to each main character. Are you ready, fellow movie geeks, to follow the train tracks, swim through a leech-infested river, run from Chopper in a junkyard owned by a guy crazier than a shithouse rat, and find a dead body? Let's talk. Stand By Me.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me.
Hello, my fellow movie geeks. Carrie Crave Cinema here to talk about the Stephen King novella titled The Body that then turned into the film Stand By Me. So much to unpack here. So where to begin? Well, here's a short recap of what this film is about. 4 friends in a small town decide to embark on an adventure of their own to find the missing boy, Ray Brower. He was out picking blueberries one day and he wasn't seen since. Already assumed dead, their curiosity to see a dead body consumed them, so it compelled them to go on this journey that ended up being far more than what they could have ever imagined. Each character has their own story and their own scenes. This film hits deep. It outlines each character, allowing you to relate with them even more. This is not just about friends finding a dead body and becoming famous in their small town. No. Although that's what it appears to be at the beginning. But by the end, it's far more than that. So, let's take a look at our main character, Gordy LaChance. He has the most complex story. His older brother Denny died in a Jeep accident, and it rocked his world and his parents' world. Feeling ignored by his parents at that age, he believes that his parents hate him. It's devastating to think that your parents want nothing to do with you, with your life, with your friends. Their grief consumes them to the point of being hollow. Gordy, with his heavy mind and his heavy heart, turns to writing as an escape. But of course, he is modest about it. But he has the support of his best friend, Chris Chambers. Without him, I don't think he would aspire to do anything, knowing the grief he withholds inside of himself. He can't talk to his parents about it, so he suffers in silence. There's many layers to this character. Especially when the body is found and he decides that no one takes him for their own personal gain, but instead to give him proper respect. It shows the maturity that Gordy has, and that he relates to the death of this poor boy. Chris is trapped under automatic scrutiny due to his older brother Eyeball and his tarnished reputation. Therefore, guilty by association. Chris makes one mistake in school, stealing milk money, but when he tries to give it back due to regret, it backfires, leaving him with an aching dread that he vocalizes to Gordy in a very impactful scene. Chris wants to do right, but he feels the weight of not being good enough, so he downgrades his own potential. He's mature like Gordy. He's wise, the way he views the world, but he is also bitter because of his home life. He feels trapped in a small town mentality until Gordy pushes him to push himself. And of course, He succeeds even beyond his own expectations, but his peaceful nature leads him to his untimely death. Trying to break up a fight in a restaurant, he intervenes with intentions of peace, but unfortunately, it backfires. The most heart-wrenching part of the whole film. And it also inspires our main character to write this story about his childhood friends, and it also makes him think about him and makes him think about the best memories that he had as a kid. He's a character of many layers. He holds hatred towards his father, but also admiration, all in the same vein. He knows his father never means to cause pain, for he is going through his own pain. A vet who stormed the beach of Normandy, now known as a joke to this small town. Just known as a loony up in togus, as the junkyard owner puts it. Teddy feels many things for his father. He feels love for him, but also feels disdain, knowing what he did to him. Putting his ear to the stove, as they put it in the story. Teddy is youthful, courageous, and has quite the childlike wit. You also see a mature side to him by the end, when he approaches Chris to make sure there were no hard feelings between them. Such a relatable character, but also a standalone character. He is a simple character, the typical cliche fat sidekick that a lot of movies seem to have. But I will say I feel like he's far more than that. He's the one that brings excitement to the group. He was under the porch minding his own business, looking for the pennies he buried, and just so happened to overhear his brother talking to his friend about finding the dead body of Ray Brower. Vern lightens the mood when it gets too heavy at times. He almost kills Gordy because for some reason he wanted to crawl instead of walk on the train tracks. He's either a scaredy cat or he has a major death wish even bigger than Teddy does. Guess that will remain a mystery. But now, when I describe side characters that bring humor to the group, I now call them a Vern. This film is the ultimate adventure. It takes us along for the journey, reaching into us as the film itself reaches into the characters. Some of the wisdom is ahead of its time, and the actors are all top-notch. Even though John Cusack barely had any screen time, he still impacted and played on Gordy's character, revealing the curtain of truth of why Gordy reacts the way he reacts. Same goes to all of the characters in one way or another. Some scenes were shown to further show us the depth of that particular character, especially with Ace. The scene he was racing his friends, the fact he didn't let up, it showed that he didn't care about anyone but himself. And moments from killing Chris, it shows he would stop at nothing to boost his own ego. Depth to all of these characters. That's why this film is perfection. One of my favorites of all time. Such an underrated Stephen King film. It deserves so much more praise. In my mind, a cult classic and then some. If you haven't watched this film, please do. This is Carrie Crave's Cinema. Stay geeky for movies, my friend.